Hello, Joanna. Yes, British farming is very much the bedrock of the British food industry, which is the largest manufacturing sector in Britain. So it really does matter what happens to UK farming in the future. And there is a lot of uncertainty over its future as a result of that vote to leave the EU. Lots of people are discussing it here at the showground. People from all walks of life, people who are competing here, people who are showing here, but also the general public. You know, anywhere you go, you can hear people talking about it. Let's join the farmer, Guy Poskitt. Guy, what kind of farm do you run?
I run an arable farm growing combinable crops, but I suppose we specialise in growing carrots, parsnips, potatoes, swedes and pumpkins.
And how reliant are you on EU workers to do all the picking?
Oh, we have a lot of EU workers. In the pack house we have about 80% EU workers. We have some local ones, really good ones. Just can't find enough of them, so we're very reliant on them, yes.
And over the last few weeks we've seen the pound drop dramatically against the euro and against the dollar, for example. It means that their wages don't go as far when they send them home. And also, you know, there have been lots of concerns that EU migrants don't feel welcome here. What happens to your crops if you're not getting EU workers to pick them?
Look, let me be quite clear. If we took the EU workers out of UK food today, there'd be no UK fresh food on supermarket shelves tomorrow. You know, it's quite obvious as that. It's throughout horticulture, it's 70–80% EU workers.
And so it's a crucial issue, this issue of free movement of people.
Absolutely, you know, we want free movement of trade, but free movement of people. You know, you look at the Brexit and people have voted because I think immigration is a big thing and governments have got to decide how to manage that. But we've got to, as a farmers' union and as a farmer, make it quite clear to government we have to have access to foreign labour. You know, it's not something we can do without. We can get some good local ones, but nowhere near enough.
So you really don't think the British workers would step up and start working in farms?
Well, you think if that was the case, I'd want the aggravation now of having 180 foreign workers who can't speak the language. You know, have got other issues we have to deal with in terms of paperwork and all this sort of stuff. If we could get local people, we can't find enough local people. Nothing will give me greater pleasure than having a full committed workforce to my business 7 days a week that was locally, but I can't find them.
You mentioned trade there. One of the big issues, of course, other than the movement of labour, is also what happens with trade. Does your farm receive subsidies?
Yeah, we receive subsidies, but they are linked. The subsidies we get are linked to the fact that we have to support the environment and we have to do various cross-environmental things. You know, I'm not a big lover of subsidies, but I just need to understand how I compete against subsidised nations when they are and I aren't, and that's what could happen.
But this is the issue, isn't it? It's about the level playing field for British farmers in the future.
Yeah, that is exactly. You know, I'm happy. Let's have no subsidy across Europe. Let's get out there and fight it how it is. But I can't compete against subsidised nations. My biggest competitors are all subsidised. If I became unsubsidised, how can I compete against that?
Perhaps one of the upsides a lot of farmers are talking about here of leaving the EU would be a bit of a relaxation when it comes to pesticides, for example, and their use, and also things like the introduction of GM crops. Where do you stand on those issues?
Well, I mean, the relaxation in the use of pesticides, great, providing that we get our government approves it or our authorities approve it. But if we want to export that food into the EU, you can bet we will have to adhere to their standards. So that would be quite a hard thing to sort of manage, because we all want to, if we want to grow our businesses, the only real way is to in Europe, because that's our biggest export market by a long way. On the future of GM, well, I'm a great believer in GM. Half the world are eating it. You know, we either eat more pesticides, we eat organically, or we start and look at GM. You know, organic is not a long-term player to feed the world, so somebody's got to have to make this decision.
Well, a lot of people are concerned also about what happens with legislation. EU legislation has been around a lot of the real gold standards when it comes to food standards, food production, and also things like protection of the environment. What happens if that disappears?
Well, I think we'd all like to see less red tape. But we've got to make sure that government understand that as well. We've got to make sure the National Farmers Union and other organisations have got to make sure that government say we want to reduce the amount of red tape. That doesn't mean to say we don't want to be custodians of the countryside, because that is our future. That's our home. We're farmers. We love it. We don't want to let it go to rack and ruin.
Yeah, it's certainly not. Guy, thank you very much. Yeah, it is very much a family business. Lots of people here have been doing it for generations and generations. And when you talk to people, despite the fact that the environment is tough, the environment some people think is going to get tougher, they're not giving up.